So Garnacho has the ball on the left side and lays it backwards for Bruno Fernandes, who sees a run of Amad at the back post, off of the back of the POAK left back, and the clip cross from Fernandes is perfectly weighted and timed, and even though Amad isn't known for his aerial ability, it's a fantastic jump and a looping header into the far side of the goal. For his second goal, we initially see Amad's off the ball work as the POAK left back intercepts a long field pass, but after delaying in possession, Amad is able to eat up the ground, showing the kind of tenacity that is perfect for a counter press. And even though some may just simply put this down to an increase in Amad's work rate, to me it's clear that this sort of tenacity in the 76th minute is just more viable against a side like POAK, when United are dominating possession, as opposed to how United have set up against Premier League opposition in the last few months, where Amad has been doing a lot more defensive running throughout a game, which just naturally is going to reduce his energy levels later on. It's pretty simple, against POAK, more possession for United equals less intense defensive running for Amad throughout the game, which ultimately leaves him fresher for situations like this, and his industry has to be praised, as he wins the upper body duel against the POAK left back, manages to get goal side, and from this position as Amad is moving towards the box, I think Højlund has to be making a run to his right, looking to open up a passing lane for Amad to slot him in behind the left sided centre back. Instead, Højlund makes a run the opposite way towards the right sided centre back, which doesn't really open a clear passing lane for Amad to slot Højlund in, which I think highlights an area of Højlund's game that does need to be improved. As to me, this should almost be like muscle memory for Højlund, able to see where the space is in this situation and understand not only is the run across Amad the best option in terms of getting himself into a goal scoring position, but this run would have also dragged the right sided centre back across and opened up space and a passing lane for Amad to thread Bruno Fernandes in between the POAK right back and centre back. Højlund doesn't aid Amad at all with his movement, but Amad takes a shot on himself, setting up the angle perfectly for a precise curling strike into the far bottom corner. Now before I come on to how Ruben Amorim would improve both Amad and United's possession setup in the middle third, if you want to check out any of the new season jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. They've also got a variety of different club and international retro jerseys as well. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description. So in this next example, we can see where Ruben Amorim could improve Manchester United's possession system, which I think would also get the best out of Amad as well. So United have the ball in the middle third, using that 3-2 setup in the deeper part of the pitch, and what you'll see first is that Amad is holding a wide position initially on the outside of the fullback, but also that the right sided half space is left vacant. Now under Ruben Amorim, you'd expect to see this kind of space taken up most likely by Amad himself, and this will likely be the main positional change to Amad's game from the tenures of Ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy to Amorim himself, holding a narrower position during this phase of play, with the wingback providing the width in the system on his outside. However, I do think there's a benefit to Amorim using Amad in this initial wide position, as Amad is still holding this wide position until Mazraoui on the right side of the back three receives the ball, and this is where Amad's movement will dictate the area that he receives the ball in. See, he could pull out wide and maybe slightly deeper in order to receive the ball closer to the touchline, or he could do what he does, which is drift in field, looking to open up the passing lane from Mazraoui into himself in the half space, and Mazraoui obliges with a midfield splitting pass on the inside of the POAK left-sided midfielder. However, this is where I think Amorim's 3-4-3, alongside the patterns of play that he would incorporate into the system, would not only improve Amad but also Manchester United's ability to progress the ball from their own half to the final third as a whole. As Amad receives the ball to feet with his back to goal, you can see that his movement into the half space has actually dragged the POAK left back infield and high up the pitch, vacating a large amount of space on his outside and in behind the POAK back line, set up perfectly for an overlapping run to exploit. However, because Mazraoui was holding a deeper position in the back line initially, he is too deep to make this run, whereas if Amad was playing in front of a right wing back in Amorim's 3-4-3, the right wing back would be holding a higher position during this phase of play, and the overlapping run would be a lot more consistent, working to either provide Amad or the other United players on that side with a forward run to thread the ball in behind and down the channel, or alternatively it would force the opposition's left back to hesitate, not being as quick to move out onto Amad, thus allowing him to turn and drive through the half space directly at the back line. But with this run not coming, Amad has to check backwards, and he actually does very well technically to retain possession and goes for his best option, which is a long switch of play out to Garnacho. The right idea, but just not enough weight on the switch of play to make it the right execution. And throughout this game, I thought Ahmad showed glimpses of the potential that he could have if he develops his explosiveness, and this is a perfect example. We see here as Lindelof strides forward with the ball that Ahmad is about to make a run in behind the left back from the half space area, which of course is where he's going to be situated most of the time in Amorim's 3-4-3 system. And you can see on his outside that because of the narrowness of both the POAK left-sided midfielder and left back, Mazraoui has a whole right side to overlap into. Lindelof plays a pass into Bruno Fernandes, who is positioned between the lines, and this is exactly the sort of creativity that Bruno Fernandes brings, which is incredibly hard for Manchester United to replace, even with Eriksen or Mount. As first time, Fernandes plays a curling pass splitting the POAK left back and left-sided centre back, and at this point Ahmad does well initially to time the run correctly, but also accelerate in front of the left back. As we move the clip on, we can see he's running through on goal, and if he's able to improve his explosiveness, I think he sets himself up for a much better goal scoring opportunity, likely on his left foot as well. If he's able to get across the left back, stopping him from making a clean tackle, and allowing Ahmad to race through into a more central shooting position on his left foot, and this is exactly what we see from someone like Mo Salah. However, Ahmad doesn't have the same sort of explosiveness or pace over long distances, and so he's unable to get across the left back, and despite still working the ball into a shooting position on his right foot, you can see the angle is a lot harder to score from than if he had gotten across the fullback. Ideally, I think he should be looking to go across the goalkeeper, putting the strike in the far bottom corner. However, with the left back making the recovery, Ahmad is forced to go to the near post, but in the end, the shot with his right foot is too central and the keeper makes a save. But the initial pass from Bruno and the movement in behind from Ahmad was excellent. Although in order to progress to the elite level, I think Ahmad needs to be getting across his fullback in this situation, working a higher quality shooting position, ideally on his left foot. And we can see another example of how Ahmad could improve to go to the next level here. Fernandes is carrying the ball forward, about to move the ball out to Garnacho on the left side, and on the far side you can see that Ahmad is starting to make a run into the box, being positioned on the outside of the left back. As Fernandes is about to release Garnacho into the box, you can see that Ahmad on the far side is still in quite a wide position. I think in this sort of situation Ahmad needs to work on getting goal side of his marker sooner, or at least being closer to the 6-yard box a lot sooner, as when Garnacho plays a left-footed cross across the box, you can see that Ahmad is still behind the left back, and I think if he's going to reach the elite level, he needs to improve his reading of the game and try to work a position in order to enable him to get in front of his marker, as when the low cross comes in, Ahmad isn't in a position to get there first, leading to the fullback making the clearance. Now before I come on to another example, a quick reminder, if you do sign up to my Patreon, you can get access to the in-game analysis Instagram group chat, which I will be doing for all the Manchester United games and some other big games you maybe want to see as well. I'll leave that linked in the description below. Another example of how improving his explosiveness could benefit Ahmad's game is here, as once again Bruno Fernandes finds Ahmad with a pass over the top of the left back, with Ahmad again making a run from a more central position than a conventional winger, looking more like an inside forward. Ahmad does well to get the ball under control, but I think ideally Mazraoui makes the early underlapping movement into the space behind the POAK left back for Ahmad to find with a threaded pass down the line. However, the underlapping run doesn't come, but because the POAK left back isn't assertive enough in stopping Ahmad from turning his body positioning to face him, Ahmad is able to set up the 1v1, and we can see that he certainly has the technical ability to become a 1v1 specialist, as he shifts the ball initially to the left, forcing the fullback to shift his body weight before instantly shifting the ball back and driving down the outside. However, at this point in his development, he doesn't have the explosiveness to take advantage of the space created by wrong-footing the fullback, and so he's able to get back and stop Ahmad being able to get into a chance-creating position. And so overall, this was a fantastic performance from Ahmad, but this is what I mean between the difference between potential and current ability. You can clearly see that Ahmad does have potential, but he does have to improve certain aspects of his game, specifically his explosiveness, as I think this will be the key to allowing him to progress to the elite level.